Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to bonus episode 8 of Holy Heck, I Really Like Love Live, where we talk about things that don't necessarily fit in the whole song analysis part of our podcast. 8, we're getting up there.
It's getting there.
We're getting to the point where we're not even talking about Love Live anymore. Surprise, this episode, we're not going to mention Love Live at all, on purpose.
We lied. We lied last week. Okay, we said we were going to do overrated songs. Oh my goodness. We sat down and started to think about it. We were like, do we actually think any Love Live songs are overrated?
Or do we actually want to do this? I feel like the only thing that can come from this is having people just dislike us more than they did before.
A lot of the times, what we'll do when we do top 3 things like that, like we've been doing, is Tyler will do Aquas, I'll do Muse, and then we were looking at the song list and we swapped. I was like, I'll do overrated Aqua songs, you'll do overrated Muse songs.
Yeah, I was looking at Aquas. I was like, I can't think of 3 overrated Aqua songs. I can't.
And I couldn't think of overrated Muse songs, and then we would just say songs back and forth. The other one was I don't know about that one. That one's probably not right. And then we both at the same time were
And maybe we shouldn't. You want to talk about anime? So for this one, we're just gonna go over our top 3 favorite Chinese cartoons. It's technically a top 4, and you'll see when we get
in the
there.
back cartoon books.
So yeah, it's we got Sunshine season 2 on the horizon, and a lot of the bonus episodes are just going to become episode discussions, which is whatever. So until we get there, we're kind of scraping by with this one. I'm sure we'll think of more things to talk about by then, but as of right now, top 3/4 favorite anime. Starting from number 3. Want to go first? Sure.
My number 3 favorite anime, and it was kind of nice. These 3/4 are my 4 10 out of 10s, the shows that I never get bored of watching. And I haven't talked about the show in a long time, so I'm pretty excited for it. My 4th favorite anime, I guess it would be, is Your Lie in April, or something in Japanese that I can't pronounce. Really, as you know, I'm a big fan of music, and a large premise of the show is music. It's all musically related. With your main character Anima, I'm a big fan of that kind of archetype of main character. The character who is frozen by his fears. He's very human, has all of the talent in the world to do what needs to be done, all of the gifts that can be, to get what needs to be done, but is frozen by their emotions. I'm a huge fan of that type of character archetype. I think there's only generally, I'm a big fan of a lot of characters. There's only 4 characters in the show in reality, but all of them are just fantastically done. I love both of the openings. The ending is I think it's pretty well known, and it's very sad but still very uplifting, and I think it's just a sensational show that I think everybody should give a shot to. Weird animation, weirdly animated lips. I love it. I have the Blu-rays for it. There's only a few animes I have the Blu-rays for, and that's one of them.
I've yet to watch it, but it's been on my watch list for a very, very long time. I think I know the ending. I'm under the impression that I know the ending, but I don't want to confirm or deny now, especially in front of you guys. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
It's a good one. I didn't cry. I probably cried. I'm a baby.
My number 3 is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but specifically Part 2. I know Part 2 fans get kind of a bad rep. I don't really know. I mean, I like Part 2 a whole lot. So it's technically part of Part 1. It's just called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And there's 24 episodes.
Season 1. Yeah.
Yeah, Season 1, and it's just the second half of Season 1, just because Part 1 is so short. And we're introduced to Joseph Joestar. That's my favorite JoJo. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows by now that JoJo is a chronological line of JoJos down the family tree. So JoJo's the second JoJo we get to see. Oh, did I just say JoJo?
JoJo is the second JoJo.
Joseph is the second JoJo. He's a super great character, just total arrogant, just piece of can't say. Almost had to include an Umi there. He's just a horrible person for the most part. But I think that's so cool, and there's just the contrast between him and Caesar. And people say the most popular, the reason Caesar is remembered is because of something that happens towards the end of the show that I'm not gonna say, but I still think Caesar was a pretty great character. I think Ultimate Cars is a super great villain, and I think he's probably the strongest in JoJo lore. That's debatable, but I think he's undeniably one of the strongest. Come on. It's just great, and the intro gets me every time. Bloody Stream is arguably one of my favorite songs to ever come out of anime. I love that song so much. And it's definitely worth a shot. Like JoJo, it seems a little intimidating because there's so many parts. Like there's 8 parts right now in the manga, and animated we're going on part 5, hopefully.
Someday.
Yeah, but it's so worth getting into. You'll fly through all the parts. Like even people who are just starting from nothing, they get to part 2 and they're like, wow, this is great. Well, no, they get to like the 3rd episode of part 1 and they're like, wow, this is great. And then by the time they hit part 4, like they're already doing JoJo poses in real life. Like it's a trip. You should definitely watch it.
It's a really good show. It's actually just outside of my like top 5 favorite. It's arguably my favorite JoJo part, that or part 4. JoJo's just great. I've watched part 2 because it's so short. I've watched it through like 10 times, So
I've watched part 2 with so many friends. Like they get to part 2, like, oh, start. I'm like, all right, I'm hopping in. I don't care where you are. I'm watching it with you.
So my third favorite is I like shonen, right? I grew up in the mid to early 2000s, so I like shonen. I like my Naruto's and I like my Bleach, and but the one that really gripped me, and there's a little bit of story behind this. My friends and I, we were sitting around at this internet cafe I worked at, and we were really bored one night, and we were looking for anime to watch on, I think it was Hulu or Netflix. I can't remember. No, it was Crunchyroll. And we were sitting around watching, and we were like, let's find the worst anime we can try to find on Crunchyroll. And we were just scrolling through just like the entire list of anime they have, and we saw the show Haikyuu. We were like, this is so stupid. This is the dumbest show I've ever seen. This is a volleyball anime. Like 3 episodes in, we were completely hooked. And honestly, in my opinion, it's my favorite shonen of all time. It sounds so ridiculous that you can turn something that I care so little about, like volleyball. I'm a huge sports fan, but man, I just don't care about volleyball. And it's crazy to think that you can turn something I care so little about, like volleyball, into one of my favorite shows ever. I love the characters. It's one of those shows that has a large amount of characters, but they're all so well designed and unique that they don't really trample in on each other, Just a really good show. The action sequences are insanely well animated and extremely hyped. There's a couple that make me like there's a couple times where I've stood up on my chair and just like pounded my chest like an ape. Like no joke. There's one time I did that during one of the action sequences in season 2. I got up on my chair and started just like took off my shirt and got hyped, man. So it's a really good show, really incredibly hyped, extremely well done characters, and one of the best soundtracks I've ever experienced in anime.
One of our friends is now completely and totally into Haikyuu. Yeah, because of Luke. Like I always talk to him, and he's like, I don't talk to Luke too much anymore, but like I'm indebted to Luke for showing me Haikyuu. I haven't seen too much of this one either. I've watched a few episodes of it. Is season 4 out or announced?
What's coming first? Season 4, Kingdom Hearts 3, or the last Evangelion movie? Which will come out first? Or the end of the world? Or the heat death of the universe?
The actual heat death of the universe?
Which one's coming out first?
My number 2, yes. My number 2. Well, 3? I said 3 before, so I'm going to go with kinda 2 on this one. My kinda 2. My kinda 2 is Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Wow, I really like this. Wait, well, before we say anything, weren't you adamantly against watching the show, and then you watched it and you're like, you know what? Pretty good.
The show and I went way back to like 2009 when it first got onto Netflix, and I just couldn't deal with the first like 7 episodes of the series. There's a character I really didn't like, and then like one day I finally just buckled down and watched it all on a day off. And it turns out it's really good.
It's really good. It's what, like hype. People are like, it's not a mecha, but I think it's a mecha. It's probably the first mecha I've ever seen. If you want to talk about anime, like I've seen like shows that I've watched in Japanese before. Like I was like an avid like anime watcher, but like I saw this and like I was like, am I like a weeb now officially? Like, do I join communities and talk about this show? Like. This is kind of like the catalyst that like made me the person I am today. Like it wasn't the show itself, but it was kind of like the time in my life where it's like, all right, me a weeb. I self-identify as a weeb now, and it was just like, man. But this show is super good. It has a cast of 80,000 characters, and they're all somehow really cool, even though some aren't developed quite like the others. And then Yoko is kind of just like a walking pair of boobs for a while until she like decides like, hey, wait a minute, like, Yeah, I'm cool too.
She gets really
Kamina
good
is a
halfway through the
super
first season.
incredible character who, despite not being seen so much later on, is still talked about like on the reg.
Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure this show has the biggest object of all time in anime. Super Tangentopa Gurren Lagann is, don't quote me on this one, but it's several thousand light years tall. I think several thousand light years tall.
I think it's more because like it stands on galaxies.
It does stand on galaxies. Oh, wait, you know what? We're doing it live. How tall is Super Tangentopa Gurren Lagann? Super Tangentopa Gurren Lagann and Super Tangentopa Giga Drill is 52.8 billion light years tall. Okay, so we were off by a few billion, but no, this show is so cool. They stand on galaxies, they throw galaxies to each other. There goes NASA's hope on finding life in the universe because Super Tangentopa Gurren Lagann just destroyed it all. It's an incredibly hype show. Giga Drill Breaker comes from that show, and that's one of the hypest moments I've ever seen in a show, and super good. Please watch this show. This is a good show. Also, it had my first waifu. I was pretty into Nia for a while. She was pretty great. I remember everyone was like, "You got to pick a waifu." I'm like, "Oh, what's a female character that I like from a show?" Yeah, I like Nia. So that was yeah.
Yeah,
good. It's good.
Gurren Lagann's really good. It's got I love the main character Simone a lot. I think he like goes over some really good development, which is something really important to me in a main character. And he oftentimes is like frozen by his emotions, especially in the first half of the series. So that's something that I really like. It gets over it eventually. But my second favorite, and Tyler was talking about, we were talking about how many times we watched JoJo through. My next two I've watched a lot. I think I just like my latest watching.
This is like your kinda one, like.
This show's really good. This show's like this movie. I guess it's a movie. This movie's like incredible, and it's been the only show to ever make like really generally make me actually go, is this better than my favorite anime? And you know, talk about how many times I've watched Kimi no Na wa. Like I've watched it like 14 times now, and
that's
it's
your
only
name,
been out
you guys.
for a year, if not less than a year. Like. Wow, this movie's so incredible. I bought the Blu-ray the moment it was available for preload. I bought the big old special edition, and it's got all this Japanese stuff in it. I can't read any of it. But I want it anyways. It comes with stickers. Like, this movie is so incredible. The range of emotions you go through, how well there's not very many characters. There's two, like you can kind of say
there's two characters that.
But man, this is the only time in my life where even though I'm watching something in a language that I don't understand, you know, I'm reading all the words that come out of their mouth, I can like notice the voice acting, like how important the voice acting is in the movie, because you have these two voice actors playing two different characters each. You know, they're playing Mitsuha and Taki and Mitsuha. You know, and it's just, I can't describe how good this movie was. When I first watched it, I cried 4 times. When I watched it the next time, I think I was down to 3. And by my like 8th or 9th watching, I'm down to no crying. But
8th or 9th?
Yeah, it got to about my 8th or 9th where I don't cry anymore. There's one scene like with about 30 minutes left in the movie that just crushes me. But sensational, the emotional roller coaster you go through this is unlike anything I've ever experienced. So please go watch it somewhere. It is. Did you
actually say the words Kimi no Na wa? I'm not too sure if you did. We were talking about Kimi no Na wa or your name the whole time. If you didn't get that.
Yeah, I did say Kimi no Na wa. Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. I said it again.
I said it once.
I did. I watched this with you. It was an incredible watch. I mean, I always cry with movies, so this isn't like a revelation for me. I'm a huge baby when it comes to movies, but it was pretty soul crushing towards the end. Really nice twist in the middle that for some reason I just wasn't expecting at all. And it's kind of cool because like twists usually come at the end, but like this movie the twist is like right in the middle, and then the rest of the movie is just kind of them working around the twist, right? Wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So it's a really cool experience. It's really unique, and the ending is super cool because you said supposedly the director doesn't often make choices like he did at the end, but he decided for this one.
The ending is so much different. I'm a huge fan of Shinkai's work, the director, and it's usually a pretty like different ending than the one at the end of this movie. and I was blown away by the ending. I was like, that's not what I expected.
So my sorta number one is Berserk, or I guess Kenpu Denki Berserk. I've never seen it with that, but that's what it is on my anime list. No, Berserk is super good. I was a little bit hesitant to get in it. I remember like a few years ago, I watched the first episode. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't want to watch this. It's like the studio presumably didn't have like too much money in the beginning. The animation budget is real. It falls into a lot of things that like old 90s anime do, where it's like a huge action scene, like you see an army getting hyped and it's like, all right, ready, charge, and like the very next scene is like a moving pan shot of a still image of like 20 soldiers like with like sound effects over it, you know. But as soon as episode 2 hits, it's for those who don't know, Berserk is separated into arcs in the manga. So we first get the Black Swordsman arc that takes place over the first episode. And then the second episode, for the rest of the anime, follows the Golden Age arc, which is, I think it's the best arc in the manga, but some people disagree. But Golden Age is pretty widely considered the best, and it follows Guts's like kind of not so much his childhood. Like we see a little bit of his childhood, but not too much. And it's kind of like, so a little synopsis. He joins the Band of the Hawk, right, and that's led by Griffith, who I don't want to say anything about Griffith. I mean, you gotta watch the show. But the whole thing is the Band of the Hawks like rise to fame, basically just being like a shoddy little mercenary group up into being like the honored mercenary knights of this one kingdom, and it's really great until Griffith makes like a fatal mistake one night, and Guts decides he doesn't want to be with Griffith anymore. Be with Griffith. Yeah. Guts decides he wants to go on his own, and this sends Griffith into like a crazy like, oh, what am I gonna do? And he makes like a crucial mistake that gets him imprisoned by the king, and then after that something so crazy happens. It is undoubtedly the biggest twist I've ever seen in any show ever, and it is so incredibly worth the watch. But it's an ending, like I usually don't like read the manga endings, but this isn't a read the manga ending. This is like it finishes and then like it takes control of your body, and then you just go download the manga instantly after. Oops. Like it's not like an option. It's not like maybe I'll go read the manga. It's like, all right, here I am. Like I'm already torrenting the whole thing. Like it is. Please just don't even. I was going to say don't read this, but just go read it. Like you don't even have to watch the show. Just read the whole thing. But no, Griffith is a super great character, and it's worth watching if not for the last 2 episodes. Man, it's good.
Yeah, I feel really bad. I haven't read Berserk or watched any Berserk, but I know a lot of people who love Berserk, and whenever I think of 2016 and 2017 Berserk, I'm just sad.
Forgot to even mention it.
I am so immensely sad. You don't have to. It's okay. It's okay. Like I understand like how incredibly important a manga this is. I'm pretty sure it's the highest rated manga of all time. It's either that or Part 7.
Yep, it is.
Okay. And I understand how incredibly important it is, and I just feel so bad that Berserk 2016 and 2017 exist.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I'm so over. Sad. I'm over the point in my life of getting upset by it. Like, what if it would happen? Like, I'm at the point where I would have rather just no adaptation. But I mean, hey, it's okay.
Our number one. We have the same number one.
We do have the same number one. We the reason we've been saying like kinda number 3 and kinda number 2. I guess we technically gave you a 4 through 2, but we have the same number 1, and we kind of like want to joint talk about it. So Luke was the bigger fan first, so I'm gonna let him talk about it first.
All right, this was, growing up in the early to mid 2000s. I watched a lot of like Adult Swim, right? I watched a lot of like Toonami and Adult Swim and stuff. That's where I got introduced to like Bleach, Naruto. I remember watching, what was the detective show? It was a little kid detective who got turned. Oh jeez, I don't remember. I don't remember what it's called. Detective
Pokemon.
Conan. Yeah, no, Conan? Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But like I grew up watching those things and I really enjoyed them. And then like one night I just caught the 14th episode of this show, and I was just like, oh, this is really weird. And when it reran the next time, and I think it was the first time it ran in America, when it reran the next time I watched it all and was just like blown away. My fragile like 8 or 9 year old mind could not understand this show. And the show I'm talking about is Neon Genesis Evangelion. And since then I think I'm like solidly in the mid 30s on watch times. Like I have watched this show, and the film End of Evangelion kind of falls into where I'm going to group those two together. I don't know if you are, but
yeah, why not?
The show and the movie are just there's so much to pick up in it, and that's what I love about it. There's so much like small nuance. You know, talk about like characters that have. You talk about characters that develop and stuff. Everybody in Evangelion's a terrible person, and that's what I love. Or if you talk about characters that are like human, everybody in Evangelion's just like a person trying to survive in the world, and I really love that about it. That's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, I don't even know what to add. Like I am gonna group End of Evangelion with it because I mean, for those who don't know, it's I don't want to say it's an alternate ending because it's the same ending, but like it's well the thing
it's
that
the same ending,
with,
but it makes sense.
Yeah, the thing that happened with Gainax is for episodes 25 and 26, right? I almost forgot the numbers. Yeah, right, 25 and 26.
There's some issues with 25 and 26.
Yeah, they're basically animated on napkins. That's what I like to say. And they just like comprehensively, like they don't make any sense at all. If you just watch it, you're just watching like what? Like, I'm sorry.
And that hack of a director, Hideki Anno, he got sent death threats over it. So he was like, okay, we make new movie. And
then End of Evangelion happened, and it's people like to compare it to End of Evangelion as like what's happening on the outside, but 25 and 26 is what happens inside Shinji's head, right? That's what people like to say.
The main character Shinji. And I was talking about how much I love the archetype of characters, that the main characters that have all of the tools in place to succeed but fail because of their emotions. Shinji is like the birthplace of that archetype, you know. Just Gainax in general. Like they've used it. They started using that archetype before anybody else, and I love Shinji. He's a terrible guy, but man, do I love that character.
Yeah, we were having like an argument with a friend over this. Like they're like, so you like Shinji? I'm like, no, I don't like Shinji. He's the worst. They're like, but you said he's a good character. I'm like, yeah, he's a great character. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a fantastically written character. It's like, yeah, but you don't like him. I'm like, no, I wouldn't hang out with him. Like, he's the worst.
Like they're all great characters, but just the worst people, you know. And that's something that they feel so human. Like their actions, they feel like they're living their lives and trying to preserve their lives, you know. That's something I really love about it.
It's pretty important to note that like the whole archetype of Rei, the kind of like emotionless doll character, like this is the first time that it's ever been. I don't know if ever been executed, but this is like the first time that like kind of really popularized it. So any of your characters,
Sorry, go ahead. No, finish.
No, it's just kind of like a character that just doesn't really have emotions. Like this is like the birthplace of it. Like I'm watching One Piece now, and I'm like kind of like pacing myself. Like, am I gonna finish One Piece first, or am I going to die of old age? Like which one's gonna come first? And if, like you see One Piece, and it's like, oh look at all these tropey characters until you remember how old it is, and it's like, wow, like it's same with Evangelion. Like it's just like they invented a lot of this stuff.
Trope setters, massive trope setters, and talking about like what Evangelion did for anime in like the early 90s. Anime was on like a steep decline, right? And then Evangelion and like Rurouni Kenshin came out about the same time. There's a couple other shows that came out about then that just really brought a whole new wave of popularity to anime. So it's one of those like mid 90s anime. I'm pretty sure it aired in 94 and the movie came out in 96.
95? I think the movie came out in 95. I can tell you right now.
95, 96, yeah, one of the two. And it's just like completely...
Oh, no, End of Evangelion came out in 97. Oops.
What? Oh, no. And it's one of those wave of animes that just kind of saved it, you know, like made anime popular again. And for that, we thank it. If you ever want to sit down and have a Evangelion on our Love Live page, if we ever want to sit down and have an Evangelion Theories live stream, we can do that.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about like the ending or anything, but Luke. Like I remember I was like I kind of held off from watching this for a while. Like I don't know, it's just I just looked at it. I was like, I don't know, like this. I looked at this. I was like, this is kind of a commitment. Can I talk about how Shinji got my life on track? For real, like I didn't even mention that Shinji. Like, so I was little backstory. I was in college and I just had the worst semester of my life. One semester, and I got like hella depressed and I stopped going to school and it was the worst. And then I watched Evangelion. By the way, don't ever watch Evangelion if you're depressed. That's like a thing you don't ever want to do. But I did. And then I watched End of Evangelion, and like as I was trying to comprehend what I just saw, I thought to myself like, man, like if Shinji can go save the world, like I can go register for school. So I literally got up from watching EOE and just went to go register for classes, and since then I've been doing just fine. So Thanks Ava for getting my life back on track. So on the topic of people that don't like Ava, like I'm totally fine with it just not being your thing, but I just hope that everyone out there at least appreciates the fact that it exists, you know? Like, you don't have to like it just appreciate what it did to just culture in general, and like the tropes that you see in today's shows are you know, they come from this and the things before it. So like I just want people to appreciate this show. Like if you think it's the worst thing of all time, then you do you. Just appreciate that the show exists. You feel?
Yeah, I think it's one of those, just like I said with Berserk, I haven't watched or read Berserk, I'm sure I would enjoy it, but you still just like have to appreciate Berserk for existing, you know, like it's one of those things that you can't really like, I feel gross whenever I hear people make fun of Berserk, because I'm like, you just can't do that.
You can make fun of the 2016 and 2017, but...
Oh yeah, you can. So,
I think that about wraps it up, right?
Yeah, if you guys want to let us know down below what your favorite kind of 3 or kind of 4 animes are below. No, this wasn't Super Love Live related or Love Live related at all.
Yeah, this wasn't Love Live related at all, but
we're trying to tank up more bonus stuff. We've been pretty busy lately, both of us.
Yeah, we thought we were solid for overrated songs, and then we got down to it. We're like, wow, like we want to do anything but this.
Yeah, we actually sat down and started to like talk about it, and we were like, maybe not the best idea. But yeah, let us know down below. Drop a like, drop a comment, which is the thing down below. Drop a subscribe, and follow us on Twitter and on Facebook that we don't post on, but we post on Twitter pretty often.
I post on Facebook all the time.
You post on Facebook? No. I post on Twitter all the time. I
post on Facebook some of the time. Oh.
We got the social media covered. We're gods.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Goodbye.